Hello, everyone, and welcome to another talk with me and Joanna. Today's talk, we're talking about currently about what's going on with some of the AI activity that is currently taking place as of today. It's 6/19/21. It's been pretty atrocious, I'll have to honestly say. There's been a lot of holographic activity. Sometimes you hear me briefly make reference to it on Interstellar Council, and the orgone devices that we have had to push horribly against some of this like really solid like light holographic activity. What holograms are, they're just basically more solidified light, like you see the holograms on Star Trek, and that is the Arconian binary network at work. Um, the thing I've seen actually a reduction of with the binary network. There used to be quite a bit up until recent, where people would see see somebody jump out in front of a vehicle or something like that while they were driving, and they'd almost seem like they were running over somebody and nobody was there. They thought that was ghost activity. It's a distraction during traffic. It causes accidents. You've heard us talk about this also with ghost cars. You know, they use the energy residual of something that had been there and turned it into a hologram. That part of it's been reduced. I've noticed and it's been more centered towards personal distractions and personal like program distractions or things within the home like ghostly like activity. You've heard us talk about in the past about how people can be programmed using that Mr. Smith program to harass you. Like if a beam can't get to you, they'll get to somebody near you. Same goes with the programming. The same goes with people around you that are designed as designated distractors and designated harassers. This is that there's been an upscale in that part of it recently. The holograms that have also been present in this home specifically have not only had a telepathic signature to it, to where it gets really revving up in the brain with alternate scenarios of doom, gloom, and a lot of sexual type stuff too. There's been an upsurge in mental body abduction, and what I mean by that is where they take what's known as your mental body, displace it into another scenario. You could be either gender, you could be in a normal scenario. This is a new one. Normally, it's violent or sexual. With this, it is I can describe it, a normal life scenario, but you could be either gender, and you're just living a normal life with a different set of people, different circumstance. Maybe it's based on something that you've wanted or wanted to happen in some capacity somewhere, and they literally take your mental body and displace it. That's been on the upsurge recently as well. That would start out with weird visuals in the head of like normal everyday life scenarios, just with a different person. That's what personally was happening to me. That's an abduction of the mental body. There's people know the light body being taken. There's a lot of other bodies: magnetic, plasma, mental, etheric, magnetic. That is an abduction of the mental body. That's been on the upsurge lately too, and that is also AI inspired. What has also been going on as of this morning? I was filming a show with Richie for one of the Zelda shows, and beings that came in had to quell an AI form that was taking the form of a guide. This has also been happening, folks. They've been taking the forms of angels and demons, uh, whereas they are. It's basically playing the same role. Since so did the Dark Anunnaki or Dark Orions as well. They were both angels and demons. This is the same difference. This being was coming in the form of a golden staff and a robe, kind of pretty looking guy though, that was clean shaven, all of that. And of the Saradans that were with me at the time, the first thing they did was pounce on it. And how do they pounce on a hologram? They put this weird like blobus net over it and began to fold the light in on itself and fold it into a box like origami, and then just turned it to dust. I watched them do this. They were basically taking a golden like sheet, and then they folded it over into it itself, and essentially turning that forced light and dispersing it into normal sunlight is essentially what it was, and UV rays. And also the AI has been taking aspects of the light particles around and forming solid things or solid-ish things out of it. The voices in the head have gotten nearly to excruciating levels. They do both violent, sexual, and normal. That's not just abduction of mental body; it is just mental manipulation at its finest. Um, Anybody with orgone pieces have more than likely noticed that it may almost seem like it's increasing, but the bad thing is increasing, but it's not. The orgone field is pushing against this AI intrusion, and it is making this weird like ribbon where the AI is pushing against, and it's making this weird ribbon where there's all these condensed voices inside this signal that is butted up against what it's pushing against it. So the orgone is doing its job. It's just that the AI is pushing back, and it is very, very disorienting. They're wanting to. It's wanting to start fights between people more and more, creating, as I've said, more pre-programmed situations to where people are committing more and more annoying behavior. There's more bouts of stupid out there that are triggering two sides of an argument. An example of this happened to me yesterday during the Interstellar Council second hour and after show, whereas there was a landscaper next door here that decided that he was going to take a 10-minute job and turn it into a 2-hour job. Very noisy one. Also was going to spray a bunch of poisons everywhere using a very large and unnecessary weed sprayer. This thing was like a makeshift sandblaster. This person was geared to trigger myself with this, not only this over-exaggerated sprayer, but the fact that he was going around during the entirety of the after show. Did not stop except for very brief intervals, probably when he went to the bathroom or something. But this, where he would literally go around near our window here and be as loud as humanly possible, even tapping the sides of the walls of the house. I do not know what he thought he was doing over here, but he was not too pleased to see me when I walked up to him on the street. Trying to avoid engaging him, I still needed to stop him from doing what he was about to do. There are times where you do have to intercede, but you don't have to fight. You don't have to argue. You can just calmly try to quell the situation. But there are some things you do have to intercede on. It's gone to such an exaggerated level with this programming that sometimes you do have to intercede. You just don't have to engage. You don't have to argue, cause a fight. You can have a conflict resolution in there where you resolve it, and you can break the programming that way too. I have not seen that level of distraction in quite some time since we were living in Virginia, and also when I was living in Nebraska, and there were many people that would interrupt sessions of similar caliber to that. But this was over the top, even for the binary network. This was, we're going to be extremely irritating to the extreme. I mean, over the top. And this is something that has been happening quite a bit, not just with the hologram, but with the pre-programmed people. There's been a rash of stupid, to the extreme, to the point where some people can't even understand what you're trying to say, and it's triggering them.
And it's triggering them, some of them, in a way that they don't understand.
They don't understand it either, yeah.
But I mean, this is where you talk about, the let's say the mental stuff. But for some people that are sensitive, that they may or may not even know a word of what we're talking about. They may not know anything. But again, we try to distinguish. Just because they don't know a word of what we're talking about doesn't mean that internally they don't feel that, stressors are weird, things are, that there isn't some sort of sense of anxiety and other things that are going on with a person. And other people would not necessarily think they're spiritually advanced. However, on the inside, there still is recognition of something going on,
and something's wrong, and something's not them.
Right. Yeah. And so, believe it or not, for anyone, that can potentially trigger physical symptoms. So I
And
think,
your own vibration and energy will do it because of the splitting of the density too.
right. So, again, I think, there is an increase of things like true panic attacks and true physical symptoms. I know a lot of people are struggling more with underlying, they would call it just an underlying anxiety disorder, but it is, part of it is this unknown, again, friction and unknown energetic things that are going on that would be hard for anyone to recognize. So it becomes again that part of, you really have to know who you are to recognize
Who you're not.
what you're not, and maybe when there's a compounding issue going on. And so again, a lot of people are not as aware of who they are to recognize some of this other that's going on, so that they have a break, let's say, some sort of little break. And then unfortunately, that then causes even more anxiety because people are trying to then figure out what triggered them to have this break or these problems or these anxieties, because obviously they don't want it to happen again, but they can't identify what it is. And so there's a bit of, anything could be it. And then that does a whole number on somebody of wanting to become more of a recluse, not get in any situation that could be potentially stressful. Was it something I was doing before? So anything that was semi-normal to them before now is abnormal and is avoided.
And is excruciating in some cases too.
Correct. So the reason we really, part of the reason to talk about this is because what we're talking about, either you may recognize within yourself or you're seeing others. And again, when I mean seeing others, we're not talking just people that are spiritually aware at a certain frequency. Okay. No, we're talking everybody is being affected by all of this. And so you're seeing the whole spectrum. And again, those that are spiritually awake, they may have identified themselves with this. They're not necessarily recognizing this either.
No, and very few, believe it or not, are recognizing this. Also, here's another point I wish to bring up. Since this is for our Patreon crowd, I can bring this up briefly. Excuse me. We've had also a rash of attacks from also fellow psychics as well that may have been caught up in the program. I'm not going to name the specific thing here just in case, even though this is our Patreon. This has to do sometimes with the fairs we go to. We will get the attention of somebody who wishes to remain in a particular mode. Maybe they've been for maybe 20 or 30 years, the way they've done business possibly. And if they see that you're disrupting or rocking the boat, they will attempt to either cast a spell, throw that on you, or use some kind of form of magic on you. I've recently had this happen, but at the same time, this goes back to the AI intrusion. The AI will take that very situation, take that attack that person's wanting to give or is giving, exaggerate it a millionfold and throw it at you, so that then you then in turn will lash back out at this other person, and that other person can then honestly say they were provoked or attacked. So this has also been happening.
Yeah, it's really confusing. And please understand, when we say going into a place, what we're really talking about is, again, your own personal frequency and energies. So when you go into some place and, it's not that it has anything to do with, let's say, and you've heard of other people scanning and doing all this stuff. It's not that. It's literally the bringing in of energies that start to just naturally change a dynamic. I think you guys all understand that. So we truly are defense and anti this. I think the only thing that you can say that you actively participate in is trying to help the energies flow, so that traffic or people um, want to experience and go by everybody, because there are disruptive people who can manipulate energies, and a lot of times their goal is to bring them just to themselves, and they always want this flow coming this way.
And they
And
want that abundance flow always going to them. And they may have done that for a long time. They're just now being noticed.
so now it's just a matter of, again, having a genuine intention of the value of the group as a whole. And so you want people to, take their time and explore the area versus having a mindset of a beeline to something where they may not realize it's a manipulation to do it.
Mhm.
So that, I don't think either one of us actually feels is offensive. It's more of a, you know, um, energy distribution to allow,
A full abundance of everybody in the room. See, what was going on was in one of the fairs, we were sitting at our booth, and I noticed this main, like this flow of energy coming from the main door, past the greeters, and then all the way through the wall to this individual in question. And I noticed this flow was going directly to them. Well, this person was doing sessions, so you really that kind of flow is meant more for somebody doing and selling products versus just doing sessions. But that said, what I did was I cut the flow and distributed it to all of the vendors in the building, all of them, every single one of them, instead of just that one. Well, this individual proceeded then to mentally attack me, thinking that I was compromising their business. And it's like, no, you don't have the right, in my opinion, you don't have the right to basically hog all of that abundance energy that's meant for everyone. Yes, you can bring in more abundance. You can tap into those strings and bring in more abundance, but the abundance was meant for every single vendor there. And whoever goes to whomever, that's who's supposed to go to whomever. I know people get into that panic mode and they absolutely have to have that abundance. And some people have learned how to manipulate these threats very well. In fact, this person knows exactly what they're doing. But that falls under dark magic. That falls under dark magician at that point. And you don't want to go that route. Some people perceive us that way because of the trench working stuff that I do and the products that we put out there, and that we how we describe them as functioning better than what's out there or functioning different than what's out there. Some people perceive that as arrogance, ego, or somehow dark magic, and those are usually the people that are either closed down, have programming, have issues with the AI, or into dark magic
oh,
themselves.
the
No.
only thing I'm going to say to modify what he said is we don't actually do that at the fairs. We're not going around criticizing.
Oh, no, we don't. I didn't say
Stuff.
criticize.
No, but I'm
It's
just
like,
saying,
yeah.
or try to put us above. We actually,
I don't say we put us above. I usually will say, well, this functions because A, B, C, D, F, G.
well,
Yeah.
my point is we don't do that. So we can tell that there are beautiful things out there that don't have much energetics to
Oh,
it.
yeah, that's really what I meant with that part.
But
Yeah.
no, because I'm like, we don't do that.
No,
What we normally do.
that came across wrong, but
Yeah, what we
but,
normally do, honestly, is it's kind of funny because we get bumped around a lot, put in different places a lot.
in the fair, yeah.
And what always tends to happen again is that there are more and more energy sensitive people. They come to the table. Something is up, and they recognize that. And again, I think certain guides or people will make them come to you if it's a day that you're meant to do readings. Um, they seem to find their way
Yeah.
anyway. So we tend to not actively engage, and then we tend to have the people who are meant to show up. So I think what again you're saying is that we've said it on here, the recognition of organ devices and different things that some look beautiful and aren't powerful, but we're not going to, we actually, I rarely go into a big room and walk around. It just doesn't happen. I'm not, not trying to be mean or whatever, or I'm not doing anything. It's just that I'm just kind of waiting at the table for whomever's supposed to arrive, who needs to have, and a lot of times we're just doing a lot of conversation. I call it outreach with this information. So, yeah, I think you just kind of said that in a way, and I'm like, that's not what happens. But we talk to you guys about it
Yeah,
because
talking to you guys, yes.
you're more energy sensitive, and so are people again that come that are really drawn to come to the table. So we're not,
It seems to be wherever they put us. Yeah, it seems that
and that surprises people because what I think happens is that other vendors think it must be where we're sitting, so they request to be there. And then the change occurs, and
then people find us.
And then people find us anyway.
It's the energies, yeah. But I've also, I have said this in sessions too, where I've noticed that our devices are stronger than some of the ones that are out there. And actually,
well, I'm not I would have no problem saying that either. I'm just saying we don't go around in the fairs.
Oh no,
trying to be disruptive or bother people's
no, we don't.
contributions.
We are not.
We're not. No, that's why I'm like,
no.
Let's
not like that.
No.
Energetically, I'll balance everything.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, and you'll bless the area, and you try to make sure interference doesn't come and things like that. But no, we're not out there doing anything like that because we really have more faith in the energies. I think what our goal is that when people come into the building, that they really are more of in a sanctuary to let their own self guide them to where they want to be. And we don't like the manipulation of others to try and, because that's not why you're supposed to be going here. You're supposed to be going here because you want to try to do some inner work. So we don't like the idea of people trying to interfere with that.
Yeah.
And so we do a lot of things to try and make it as good as possible. And with the support, I think we can say now, of some certain galactic groups that realize as well that it's kind of like, again, trying to put the energies in a balanced, neutral state to allow that lack of interference so that people can go where they need to. And for the most part, we can actually say that the vast majority of the people that we've been around are genuine. Their intention is good. They're no different than us. We've had moments of knowledge deficit where we've had to grow through something, and of course everybody
so
faces
we can't
that.
begrudge anybody else for
no
that.
We would never do that, but occasionally, we hate to say it,
some people are too far over into an older way of doing things.
And again, you don't know, what we don't know honestly is, is this a role that they're in, that they are unknowingly doing it,
like an agent or something like that.
That where the problem arises and where we're really unsure is that occasionally there comes to light someone who is truly and knowingly, intentionally doing something, and then actually potentially convincing people of things that aren't necessarily true.
Yeah.
It's like going to a psychologist or somebody and you've been going for 5 years and you're still going because they make money off of you going. So it's rare, but that stuff does happen. And it's even hard to know what to do about it. You know what I mean? Except to try and correct the energies to allow the flow. Again, we're not big on engaging as far as, causing a fight, because there are people that are very good in those scenarios, and you'll look pretty bad yourself if you, engage. You have to do it on a different level. But some of it's becoming apparent. But again, that is not the bulk at all of what is that we've seen at the ones that we attend.
Yeah. That's not the bulk. No, that's very uncommon, actually. And usually so uncommon it stands out like a sore thumb when it happens. I've noticed also, I know we started with AI, but there's been an upsurge in dark magic too in some
Well,
areas.
but the tie-in is this, is like we were saying, and part of the reason, we were talking about it this morning, is because one of the confusing things for you guys and for you at home, why we're bringing this up, is because you really could be setting up a pretty nice temple space for yourself. And but you're like, how are these things getting in? How are they getting in through my traps? How are they getting in? What's going on? But you have to also remember, probably in your home, you have a laptop, a TV connected to internet, your phones, whatever. So you actually have within your home things that can be utilized by an AI. So in the most cases, one of the things that we wanted to talk about, and if someone chooses to come in and talk with us, is, I call it, I guess it would be like the different levels of AI. It seems to me that there's just this kind of generalized, we know that AI is intelligent, but
but there's generalized ones out
a
there
generalized
too.
one kind of working on like autopilot that maybe weaves its way through the general population or through the getting into homes or whatever. And I would actually just say, well, it's a part of the farming, it's a part of the control to, give you subliminals or something to try and keep you on your path and not even realizing it's their subtle things. Wanting you to eat really lower vibrational food, even though you're like, I don't know why I did that. I really didn't want to do that, but I ended up doing that, or I'm craving this. From little things like that to, again, maybe causing, anxieties or whatever going on. But it's kind of more of the normal flow of what's going on in AI in a more subtle way, not to overtly destroy a person, but to keep a control and to keep, things going in what they feel should be the normal flow of,
like if the AI feels like if you're outside of what it's been pre-programmed as what the normal flow should be, you will start to see some of this harassment go on. And in some cases, and in cases like ours where we're seeing the intense artificial intelligence, it's also because we make the product, which then pushes on the artificial intelligence. Now, in some cases, some people have reported on Facebook, and these are random people I see in random threads talking about stuff like this, where an ad pops up on Facebook, you're like, oh my God, I just dreamt about that, or something like that. Or then people start laughing at them going, well, what were you dreaming about, or something like that, if it's like a sexual ad or something like that. They get made fun of, which that's also the retort from the AI, is the ridicule back in return. When people start putting two and two together like that, it'll retort and come back and ridicule or do some, or program people to ridicule or be ridicule agents to make sure people are dumb that are that way. But what happens is, it scans your brain, and sometimes we'll also place ads in your brain. I've heard this happen before. And also you'll start to see it on Facebook, something you've thought about. Just like not too long ago, I was thinking about, I can't remember what it was, I was thinking about a certain concept, and it came up in the search engine on Google. So, literally it was within seconds of me taking the phone and hitting the browser. It was literally when I didn't even type even one letter in the search, and it was already at the top. So that is artificial intelligence there, folks. When that happens, there are multiple personalities out there. There's also these weird, this is going to sound sci-fi-ish, and I mentioned this in the recent Fallout show that Ryan and I did, where there's also these human brains that are kept as processing units too for that. So there is a human component in it. That's why it's able to act sometimes in a human-like way, is because it has this brain or ghostly-like energies that are plugged into it too. That gets into more of the creepy factor, where certain people were plugged into a machine and all this other stuff. That gets into a really big area of creep right there. But needless to say, it's still AI. they're just used as a processing unit. They talked about this briefly also in the show Star Trek Enterprise, where they found an AI computer with a bunch of brains plugged into it. It's the same difference, a processor. Well, these also what happened to us recently. I mentioned this on Interstellar Council on yesterday's date, which would have been the 18th of June, 2021. I mentioned this where one of the Interstellar Council episodes got canceled. And what scans for all these words and what is said is artificial intelligence. They program it. I know the CIA did this for years where they were listening in for certain keywords, and they still do this. But the AI listens for certain keywords like COVID-19, President Trump, et cetera, et cetera. We'll look for a lot of these different things that are either said in a title, or now they're switching to it reviewing and checking. And you might notice if you upload things to YouTube quite frequently, it says checking. That is the AI checking for certain words being said within the what is being spoken, so that it knows whether to cancel or not. And this episode was one from many months ago, back in October of 2020. This was pre-election, and it was an episode entitled "The Calm Before the Storm." And this episode just got canceled on the grounds that it was inciting violence. Not joking, folks. I posted this on our Facebook, or on my Facebook, and people were just dumbfounded because they had heard it. Not once was there any violence incited. I even appealed it, and they said, no, we've decided it incites violence. I'm thinking, yeah, they're definitely barking up the wrong tree there. So the AI either glitched or they did it as a form of as a distraction. Because not once did we ever mention anything of the sort in that. Well, I'm not exactly careful, but I'm not exactly prolific in mentioning stuff like that, knowing that these AIs here. And that episode was canceled. It was completely deleted from the YouTube. I'll end up having to put it on here somewhere on Patreon. But I noticed there's safe areas where you can post some of these things where certain AIs don't really give a crap. But this particular one, I noticed it was rather funny. We were almost laughing about it because it's like, okay, what exactly did this artificial intelligence hear that was so offensive in that specific episode? I'd have to go back and listen to the whole thing and report on that later on. But it could be one single word. It could be just doing it just out of pre-programmed distraction, just hoping that you get majorly upset about it too.
But I will say, the term "the calm before the storm," unfortunately, during the summertime, there was such, again, intentional incitement, and that phrase was used a lot. So I tend to believe literally it was just taking advantage of that phrase being used.
Yeah, it was a slang phrase at that time for the pre-election time frame.
It was used a lot during the violent protests and or the politicians and things like that.
Yeah.
So it, again, a word of wisdom. I mean, obviously you guys know us pretty well. We don't try to incite any violence. We actually feel that really is to the advantage of something you don't want. So finding another alternative way to work the energies, is what we always say. And we always say, defense, be careful and know that maybe you are crossing into offense, and that's not necessarily going to work out well.
No.
And again, if you are a warrior type of person, then you really got to be extra careful, because again, it's very difficult not to have warrior-like thoughts or warrior-like ways of handling something. It kind of reminds me of when they do a TV show or whatever, and somebody's dealing with something, and then they cut to and they play out what's in the person's mind, how they really want to handle it.
Yeah.
And it's usually something violent or mean or something, but they don't actually
act on it.
So it would be normal for, again, a person with a certain underlying personality type to play all the scenario out in their head. And so you have to kind of be careful sometimes, because sometimes that can be heard on a different level. And then it will be, again, since it's something that came from you, it's going to be tried to be enhanced and thus enacted if it could.
And mirrored
So,
outward.
and
Yeah.
mirrored
Yeah.
outwards. So somebody again like yourself and plenty of other people who have, certain abilities, and then you have certain um, feelings about things like, um, I shouldn't be, you don't think just because you can try to read me, you should be scanning me. You shouldn't be scanning me. That's like fighting words.
Mm.
Or, your interpretation. And again, I'm not saying his interpretation is wrong, but I'm just saying Chris's interpretation of what dark magic is. There could be plenty of people who don't agree with what his interpretation is.
Hmm.
And
Oh yeah.
especially if you're a dark person, you're not going
You're
to
definitely
agree.
not going to
You're
agree
not
with
going
that.
to agree with it, with the way it is.
Because people get used to certain behaviors and they don't always see it as dark. This goes with any subject, anywhere.
But again,
Yeah.
so you with a parameter in your head of what you feel is crossing certain boundaries that shouldn't be crossed, then you would potentially go into what you would consider a defensive mode to try and stop it. And this is where the AI actually now comes in, because they're taking advantage of scenarios like this by knowing that situation exists, knowing how people feel, knowing where their buttons and their lines are or whatever, to try and manipulate a scenario like Chris saying, where it could be the AI that is so convincing of something happening. And sure, maybe a thought form or whatever was leaving that other person legitimately, because
Mhm.
if you can read energies and memorize energies and who they belong to, there has to be something that's been pulled in. But the AI is going to distort it, and the AI is going to inflame it, and the AI is going to do something because it's trying to gaslight a
Mhm.
situation as well. And so again, you have to truly be aware. The interesting thing about when we really spoke about it this morning is when we were getting up and talking about it, because I also brought up how, this is really interesting, but I think I finally, and I think I finally know where this is truly coming from. Um, is that, the fact that we really couldn't understand with such a fortress why were certain things, and then we really came to more of the acceptance that really the only way that some of this stuff could be getting in is it's coming through something that's here, and it'll have you scouring your house, like looking for an object or looking for something that you think is now being utilized for negativity.
Mhm.
And it really could be the fact that you just
The
don't.
AI is projecting through it. Yeah.
The AI could be projecting through your router. The AI could be projecting through your computer, your cell
Phones,
phone.
all of it. Yeah.
It's very intelligent. And if for some reason you have, let's say, made the list, okay, of a higher, let's say, level of AI involvement now, I think it becomes, um, again, a new area of learning, because you're used to the influencing of, let's say, a lower level AI that only seems to have this ability. So it's like moving now on to a higher level that has a lot more capability, and a lot more capability to mimic frequencies,
Mhm.
or to uh, subtly play with your mind, that you thought you knew who you were, but it's still now playing with it. And one of the things that had happened for us around here that I just ignore on a daily basis is the amount of literal AI vision stuff that just is like, you know, that for us, it's like you could be watching TV, but there's a show going on all over the place, and there's things, and there's it, whatever, and they're looking like Draco, they're looking like this, they're looking like that, and the goal is to get you upset, you know what I mean, that to clear it or to engage with it or whatever. And if you really pay attention to it and really take a moment to listen to yourself, you won't be threatened by it. very hollow. Now I know we've said that sometimes the worst thing to do with a being is that it be neutral, and I mean that. But you feel threatened by the neutrality. You feel threatened. A lot of AI, because of what it is, and as people are learning and growing, whatever, and becoming more aware of energies, the AI so far, hasn't truly been able to make they can make a hologram, but they can't necessarily perfect a living being's frequency. Do you agree with that?
Mhm.
So,
They can and can't. It's like, yeah.
well, they can and can't. They'll, like we said, somebody's frequency that's coming with it that they're using. They'll try to make you take that bait, but a lot of times it's hollow. There's nothing there. You're seeing visuals. So sometimes I'm always told people, you know what, having the ability to see so much is not always the best psychic skill to have, because you tend to want to go with the vision that you're always seeing and what it represents, and not realizing how the visions can be influenced. And so your other skills in intuitions and discernment or whatever are meaning to truly be enhanced, so that you cannot just rely on a vision, because it really, now there's this other player involved who can create lots of visions.
Mm-hmm.
And but is it really a threat or not, or just something to kind of be ignored, really to just be ignored, because it has no power if you're not reacting to it. But as long as AI currently exists, there will be the ability to flash images and to flash things around. But it's a matter of you understanding what it is. So you, in a sense, become a little nose blind to it. You just really don't pay attention to it. And that's one of the ways where it then stops affecting you. Because when we really were talking about it this morning and we really got through it and we came to certain conclusions, it died down.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I think it knew, oh my God, we now been found out. And not only are we now really found out, they're going to talk about it. So it really kind of, died down a little bit. So I don't know. Is there someone here who wants to talk about this a little bit?
Well, once, yeah, but it's the AI has been rather thick, even though I managed to get somebody through from when I was talking to Richie. Let's see here. I know who was around before, but there is this. I'm not certain whether it's the computer here, but it's let's see. I'll disentangle around here and see. So I know there was somebody. Let's see. Yeah, but if I see a face, I hear somebody say right here, but if I hear that, here's a prime example right here. If you hear, like, if you're calling on somebody, a benevolence, and you hear, okay, I'm here, don't always trust that, because that could be the AI dicking with you a little bit. True benevolence, you are going to know unequivocally if the person has your highest good at heart, and the being or set thereof. And let me see here. I'm going to hold on the crystal here and see if I can. Okay. I know you were here about an hour ago, so let's see. Hmm. Hang on. Spin my core a little bit here. Okay. I know it was Elena and Vesa that were around a little bit ago with her friend Brina, but let's see. Brina, are you still present? Ooh. Man, that AI, the AI, they were having to really repel it earlier. So okay, yeah. Oh, hang on. Get rid of that thing, whatever that is. Okay. Okay, the frequency is raising. Let's see. Elena, I know it was you that said that wanted to talk. So, okay, can you show me your heart space, please? Okay, all right, you cut through. So that was it was like so. Okay, we can do this for a brief period. I know Brina came through on the Zelda show we were doing. So let's see here. And it seems that holding on to one of these amber devices seems to help out a great deal too, especially with the selenite in there. Uh, Seems to help out a great deal. All right, Elena, or is it your lady friend there? Elena, okay. Uh, oh, oh, okay. Through the crystal, please, not my brain. Okay. You just do that as a practical joke. Okay. I feel this. So, knowing that on some level it freaks me out a little bit. So, like somebody doing this, like that. So, Isaac will do it, but he'll hit me when he does it. But it's like when she does it, it's like, and then backs away, like boogie, boogie, boogie. So, knowing that it creeps me out. So, uh, I'm not repeating that on air. No. Okay. They tease me more than Isaac does, but they use more of the underhanded like sexual stuff in there. So it's like they'll do it to me because they know it annoys the crap out of me sometimes. So it's like Isaac won't do that. He'll go straightforward like you have a small penis or something like that. But these ladies they'll just do this underhanded like this almost like this conniving type of it's like that's the difference between Isaac and there. You know, one of them went better. Okay, so okay, better than who called him Carrot Top? Okay, because he has bright red hair, so not as out as Carrot Top does, but you get the idea. Just combed. He has like this comb over thing going on, but yeah. Okay, well we'll do this while you ladies are here. Through the crystals. Yes, this subject of AI is quite prevalent right now. It is quite obnoxious in your environmental areas, such as your neighborhoods, prevalently, and in your inner cities. We have various ways of blocking and or canceling out a lot of this noise, but we still mentally hear it from time to time. The devices in which you use are of a very similar caliber to that of our blocking devices, but ours are as small as a ring or a necklace, like mine as a pendant. Vess's is a ring, sometimes bracelet, and her brother Vosk's is more like a belt buckle or something around his neck or on his ear or whatnot. These would blend in as jewelry, and at some point, you'll be able to blend a lot of these devices in as jewelry. And some people already have been able to do this. But the trickery of the AI mixed with telepathic inferences from either the remaining draconian forces or other ET forces, as well as some negative elementals that are out there, I might add, that are doing some of this particular behavior. This goes along in line with what I spoke about on the conspiracy sector episode on positive and negative synchronicities as well. There are negative synchronicities that are put in play to lead people off path or astray off path. An example of this was one that you yourself actually ran into many years ago with a tarot reading that for an average person would have thought meant negatively about a relationship. I will not go into the details, but you get the idea for negative AI synchronicities and telepathic intrusions. This happens quite often. This is another area that I did not touch on before. Also, what is happening currently in this area is the orgone devices themselves are doing their job, doing what you constructed them to do. But the AI, or he likes to nickname it the Eye of Sauron, likes to gaze upon the house quite often because you are outside of what it considers to be the straight and narrow path, you see. And it is always in, as you would say, investigative mode in that respect. And will throw in certain holographic channels, let's just say. Just like you have channels on a television, even though I am channeling through him and his crystal as of right now, There are artificial intelligence channels. This is why they call them channels on your television, because it is a channel by which a particular station is played. Just like I am channeling by which my particular voice is said. It is still a form of magic that has been integrated into the scientific nature of the artificial intelligence. When these channels are displayed, very much almost like your TV, like you would select a channel, it is selecting the one that it believes will be the biggest distraction or have him fall for the biggest trick, and yourself or anyone, or programming or dropping the programming into another human that would be the biggest worry, the biggest fear, or the biggest conflict. These are channels that are selected, or within the body functions themselves. We will get to this part as well, where you can select a different bodily function to fail or to activate at a particular time. Say your GI, say your sex drive, fail or activate, mental capacity, anger, happiness, any of them, pleasure, all of them. People attribute this to just human gang stalkers, which is still true. There are people that do go through this list on a computer. The majority of these are artificial intelligence that can skim through these lists in a matter of milliseconds. And also on top of this, there are human brains, as he said, plugged into this that could have the human emotional side to this. This is why some of these AIs are quite unstable. This is how this is currently going on. And the devices eventually can be tweaked to account for the human component that adds the magic in the first place. Yes, there is dark sorcery going on, as you've described perfectly, along with people that you've run into yourselves. I will not go into that part, but this is a validation. There will be tweaks to some of the devices that you can make to repel some of these more human-like consciousnesses that have been integrated into artificial intelligence. There are various silvers and various granulars, like material, like certain dirts and certain hardened enzymes that you can put into your pieces. Amber, yes, you are using this. Frankincense and myrrh and iron and all those, you're using these. But there are also stones that are within the pineal glands themselves of the human brain that you can place within these that would also help enhance a living human's third eye, but at the same time degrade the one that is being used for artificial intelligence. That would be apatite magnetite, which you already use, and also with calcite, which also you already use. But there are also different color forms of this that would work better, like some of the reds and the greens and blues that you have been using, and variations of the two. You'll eventually construct certain things that are slightly more enhanced, and certain metals, which I will tell you in private, since you do not wish people to misuse this. I can tell you how to construct a couple of different ways of doing this. But with that said, I can go into questions.
So I am curious because yeah, I appreciate you actually saying the fact that you do our protection from this. However, you still hear the yammering.
Mhm.
So my question is, um, if you didn't have protection on, and you not only now were listening to the yammering, would um, would you get confused by if you thought something was actually real versus just AI interference? Would it confuse you too?
Yes, indeed, it would confuse us if we did not have the proper filtration in place. We sympathize with people such as yourselves that can hear this on a regular and constant basis. He himself hears it at a heightened level. This will also cause certain emotional instabilities from time to time with the aforementioned channel list, as I've said before, triggering different things, even triggering things from the past or ancient past that at inopportune times as well, even though it is something that you must deal with so that that particular channel is not accessible to the artificial intelligence and or negative entities. It is always wise to get rid of it. And yes, they do trigger it because your oversoul is attempting to get rid of whatever it is triggerable. Seems to be their job within the ethers, so to speak, the negative entities and the negative AIs and such. They do not know that they are doing this. Quite often, more than not, they just believe they are in oppressive mode. The same thing goes with the humans that operate it. But they are playing that role. Say, if they tap into something from your ancient past or SSP past, this allows you to correct the problem by which then they cannot have a stranglehold on.
So, in in that, I'm just going to talk about. I know I normally talk about things in general, but I'm going to try to bring this down to myself um, for a specific way of coping. So I am understand that for me, I've chosen certain ways to cope. I know it's not perfected. I know sometimes that, I may choose something and then miss something because I have chosen a certain path of coping.
Mm.
So, but I always like to have the conversation because, again, how do we all learn and grow? And again, I'm really concerned about the pressures of the AI and the pressures of the energy leading to things like the anxiety disorders, the panic disorders. So I, part of me is like, it's such a balancing act to try to find a way to cope with something. You may not be perfect and things may slowly slip in, but there may be a bigger benefit of coping in a certain way in order to prevent these other things that could really be much more damaging at this point in time. So in that context, I guess I'm looking for opinion on good coping skills. Again, not perfection, because we're not perfection yet. And just like you were just saying, if you didn't have your jewelry on, you'd be going through it just like we're going through
Mm-hmm.
part of it. And we're at the, let's say, infancy, early education phase of learning how to create items that help with all this. But my point is that I oftentimes don't choose to give any credit to anything. I mean, my coping skill and my thought process happens to be, I guess some people would say, accuse me of putting my head in the sand. I actually don't think I do that. I think my coping skill for a lot of this right now is the belief that if I don't give it power, it doesn't have power.
Mm-hmm.
However, I know, again, it's not perfected because of things like a dear friend of ours had to pull some things out of us, so we get dirtied up. We don't stay clean. I think it's important for you guys to know that we're like everybody else. Things get in, things whatever, and we may or may not notice it, but then we at least have friends around, or whatever, that can say, hey, did you realize you have this huge booger sticking out? Can I help get rid of it, because I think it really could start affecting you. And so we're lucky enough that we have some of that. So I just want to truly give people something, that are good types of coping mechanisms. And is the thought process of don't give it power. Just don't say no. Just don't give it power. Like I said, with all of these things that are floating around our house, these visions, I'm like, yeah, you're nothing. Have a nice day.
Mm-hmm.
But um, again, in the context, knowing that I know it's not 100% effective, but I want something definitive to be able to share with people.
Yes, ignoring it is a very, very good thing. But also, there are times where you cannot ignore it, very much like what he was describing with the man, because there was something there that he himself was picking up on that was over exaggerated, that would have done damage. There are times where you must intervene and must cleanse yourself of the intrusions that have come in, or have someone else look into this. Yes, there are times where the other people will not be present, yes, or ourselves may not be present, but there are certain techniques that can be utilized to burn out any of these intrusions. Plus, knowing yourself, you will know to ignore the initial channel that comes in to access different emotions of yours, to tune yourself to a particular wavelength by which opening a portal within yourself, allowing those strengths to encompass all of you. The way that you burn these out is by visualizing a fire lighting from within and lighting them like fuses, as he does, and burn them out and clearing your auric field out. And yes, there are external things such as your orgone devices, which do it quite well, sages and your sprays, which do it also quite well, and your stones, such as your selenites and ambers, that do it quite well. All of these techniques, the visualizations, the interior work, getting rid of all that does not serve, that is the biggest one of all. Getting that includes external objects, the clutter. You will be able to walk through a room if you have clutter that includes the interior. That also ends up making a pathway by which a channel can be accessed by that artificial intelligence and or demonic entity, let's just put it, which that still falls under the same category. All of these things are inclusive together in one unit. This is why he wears stones when he walks out of the house. But at the same time, eventually, even we will get to a point where we don't always need those on Earth. It is the varying energies that are also here that are making it so that we need these particular devices. We are essentially wearing what you guys are creating.
So, okay, so I do appreciate that, and you do give credence to there is power in not giving it power. Just
Yes.
completely saying absolutely not
Yes,
even
and there
going
must
there.
be a time where you can intervene as well, but you will know those situations when they present to themselves.
Right. And or it's I guess what I'm saying is that it's okay to be in a bit of denial and say absolutely not, because you may not feel that you're ready to deal with a situation like this. And that thus you may get a little muck on you in that moment. But again, if you know yourself enough, you'll get a sense you got muck on you, and maybe, have someone around, or be able to think things out, or again, apply the light, the burning light or whatever, to kind of work on that a little bit more. But again, I just can't stress enough that we're a work in progress, and our goal is to learn about these things and then be able to push them away. I really want to go back to what you're talking about, the channels. So, okay, so if I heard you correctly, you're talking about the AI is flipping through, and I'm assuming I'm going to put the word frequency channels in front of it. Frequency channels in front of it, looking for maybe a frequency that you currently have open that it can sneak its. Is that what
And
you're saying?
access and read very much like you're using a remote for your television or a
Right.
mouse on a computer.
So it's looking for frequencies, threads that you may currently have open. Is that correct?
Yes.
To give
currently
feedback.
have open, or try to tap you until you open them yourselves.
Okay. So what I am curious about in how you guys have learned, because again, you've obviously had to learn to scramble that, because it seems to me when you have something like that going on, if you keep changing frequencies, if you keep doing something in a way, it's hard to tap into anything, because it's almost like you're, constantly recreating different frequencies. Like we're multidimensional, we can operate on different frequencies. We're just constantly changing our own channel to not let other channels come in. I'm just curious, is that a thought, or has being able to function in that manner occurred, or can it occur to kind of block some of this attempted interference?
Yes, if you're constantly shifting your frequency around, like very much like in your Star Trek program, where they would shift the modulation of their weapons and shields around to fight the Borg. This is a very similar respect, where yes, you can keep your frequency high and keep it balanced is the best term, keeping it balanced, but also remodulating it by always doing not only your inner work, but knowing when you should not necessarily be around certain energies and know when you should. That's also remodulating it, and know when you have been overrun and when you're about to be. This is another way of remodulating it, and also the visualization of a shield constantly fluctuating around you. You do not necessarily have to enter a meditative state to do this. It's just simple intention and visualization.
So, which is really good to know because I think honestly, if I would add that to when Chris and I discuss protection, that maybe we would modify what we say a little bit to go ahead and add in. So have your protection, but have it like constantly spinning in frequencies. I guess would be the best way for us to
Like a
say it to people.
kaleidoscope, if you will.
Okay, like a kaleidoscope. And so again, we share that obviously right now with everyone here because we always feel the people that are listening to us in Patreon, many of you are experiencing what we're experiencing, and as we try to figure it out, we want to share anyway. So I think again, so we're at a point in our development that that whole concept of modulating the frequency on a constant basis, because there are higher levels and even more intelligent AI, that we're getting to a point where we should make sure we understand and start doing that because it really is tough out there right now. I mean, I'm glad you have reaffirmed that the AI have pushed their game up and that the energy of that has gotten more severe, because I really do feel pretty much everybody is either can actively say I get it in myself, or they're watching people around them in a sense emotionally self-destruct.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because of this. I don't know if you agree with that, that this enhanced pressure from the AI is causing some of
Yes,
this.
yes, it is causing this along with the Earth energy modulating really rapidly to get rid of the AI, along with the solar and central sun energies, along with the other planetary energies and spaceships that are around too, causing disturbances in your vitamin and electrolyte levels as well. The fluctuating energies from all over the place are causing bodily harm in some areas because some humans are unprotected and uninformed about also the UFO activity and alien activity that are in the areas as well. Eventually, those devices will be widespread across humanity to guard against this, just like some of your military possesses at the moment and some of your secret space program possesses at the moment. It's a similar type of device setup that they have chosen to protect themselves with and not issue it to the rest of the people. But it is the same set of symptoms that we and they would be going through if we did not have those protections. You can also create devices that are the rotating modulation as well. You can do this with your orgone pieces by putting different colored stones and stuff within it, like the kaleidoscope, and stones that have different functions and different frequencies to them. It is the same effect with those devices as well.
Okay, well that's good to know, and I know we will play with that. I actually, because I just wanted to focus so heavily on the I really don't really have a lot more that I want to ask. I just desperately want to bring this conversation up so people can consider it and consider how it's affecting people and what to do about it. So I'm just going to turn it over to you for any last words.
Yes, this is actually interesting, an interesting subject because it is one of the main things right now causing a lot of anxieties in your society. Like I said, it's an equal partner to that of the earth changes, so to speak, sort of, and solar changes, and it is all clashing into one, as he likes to call it, chaotic soup, along with the different spaceship and magnetic field activities that are causing vitamin and electrolyte imbalances at the moment. This is why you've had to take so many vitamins yourselves because of the imbalances there. And this is a very good thing. This will not be forever. This will only be temporary to the moment. This also goes with electrolytes and different salts that may be needed within your body or where those are lacking. This will also be a temporary measure. This is something that will not necessarily be with you long. So, with that said, thank you for allowing us to speak today. So our people will be in touch soon, and we are nearly always around. It makes it easier if we have certain things to speak through. We do not necessarily prefer skulls or anything of that nature, even though they are cool. We use more pictures and variations such as that, like say posters, pictures, drawings, photographs. We do things of that nature. It seems to work a little bit more. The Mozen do things of that nature, such as silhouettes, decals, flags, and the like. So it is more of a personal preference. So thank you. Yeah, and she is right about that. They have a picture of themselves that they want me to try to find and obtain, and I mentioned in the Legend of Zelda one too, which was also about pictures being made with edifices and stuff like that as well. And it's proving to be slightly difficult to locate, but they are right. The Mozen like to use the silhouette of a World War I soldier as like something they can use as an edifice. They prefer not necessarily solid things. It's more like flat things, like a decal, like a poster, like a picture, uh, and things of that nature, paintings, things of that nature. It seems to be their personal preference. So thank you, ladies. That was good. And anyway, there was something that fell here. Yeah, they were wanting me. The thing that dropped. Something was trying to get me to be distracted by. This is this little silver pendant here with this carnelian. This is the kind of thing they're talking about right here. Is mixes of different materials like that. Also, there was a group that came in for Interstellar Council that talked about types of stained glass and stuff like that that they would work on, like light going through stained glass. We've heard that before too, a long time ago, where energetics will go through different colored glass. We've heard that. That won't always stop the AI. That just filters certain energies, like our dream catchers do. Similar process, but what they were referring to, the kaleidoscope, are the stones, the different colored stones and functions that different stones have, like greens, blues, yellows, reds, things of that nature. So that's something, yeah, we will be working on. So I don't know if you have anything else to add, Joanna.
No.
Okay, so this has been an excellent talk with me and Joanna today. Normally we don't have a channel R that comes in, or a channel E, as the case may be. A little of both. Okay. That they don't normally come through on this particular chat, but we wanted someone to come through this time. And these ladies were available from the show before. Just like we had someone come through on one of our lifting episodes that was also available on a previous Zelda show as well. So thank you everybody for listening to this broadcast on our Patreon or wherever it will happen to pop up in subscription form. Thank you everybody. Bye bye.